Now we will start the candidates interviews. So without further ado, like I said, if I mispronounce your name or any of the board members, please feel free to correct us. Okay, Mr. John Oxier.
This will be fast. I'm Jonathan OCA. I'm 460 California. I think what you're doing is incredibly important. In some ways, I'm excited to participate. At some point, I've got 3 kids in Riverview, but I'm gonna rescind my name from the application pool because I simply don't have the spoons. So, good luck finding a candidate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming and staying.
Save y'all 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's okay.
Thank you for having us.
You're reserved.
Okay. Our next board candidate will be Kareem. Go ahead. Hi.
Hi.
Let's stand here, there,
Wherever you like.
I'm gonna lean then.
All right, I'll begin. All right, simply tell us about yourself and your background as it pertains to this.
Cool. Well, I was saying earlier, this is a little bit of deja vu, because I did this a little differently 2.5 years ago here. I'm Kareem Gahed. I live on 736 8th Street. We've been here for 5 years in Oakmont. When I did this a couple of years back, it's only like 1.5 years in the district, and it was kind of magical. And now it's even more magical being a resident of Oakmont. 2 kids, one's in 5th grade, doing the wax project for the presidents, and one in 2nd grade, who's one of the students that we just talked about here with the ice situation. So difficult, and you sort of see both the good and the bad, right? So happy you guys are handling what you're saying. And I was talking to the gentleman who started out earlier today and sort of provided thanks and the really good words, and that was meaningful.
Okay, our second question is, please share what skill sets, special interests, and knowledge you would bring to ours.
Sure. So I only have 4 months of experience on the board here, because I think my time was super short. But I have that on boards. My life has been an amazing adventure, I think both professionally and personally. The family we just talked about and being able to give back to the community, that was one of the biggest things that we did and that I did specifically when we moved from New York back to the Pennsylvania area, the Pittsburgh area, giving back to the community. So I do that. Want to be able to do that here. I do that in some capacity locally with the soccer teams and all of the school activities. I also do a lot of work with university programs, sit on boards to be able to advise there, both curriculum and sort of preparation for professional development and getting them ready for the real world. Professionally, I'm an American Eagle guy here. That's why I lived here the first time. I worked at American Eagle for combined, I think 2 different stints. It's like 14 years. So I'm dating myself. But I've been a career retailer and at all sort of functions. So creatively, but also from a business standpoint, I've been able to run a company myself and sit on boards and to be able to, again, think about not only a business, but a culture, and then how a board sort of steers the direction the path we want to go down.
Okay. Mr. Gahet, what motivates you to apply for this position on Riverview School Board?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is the community is such a tight community, and we're shoulder deep in it, which we love with the 2 kids that are involved. My wife is also involved in a capacity here, sort of multiple layers, also helping the school. That was mentioned about volleyball coaching, approval on a board item. So probably have to say I would opt out of that vote, but she helps in the community. And I think my time at the very beginning was so great. I got to learn so much about the intricacies of the district and the community, and want to be able to continue to do that. So I can learn, but also be able to potentially provide some of my learning through all my experiences over the past 25 to 30 years into the board as well.
Thank you. As board members, we're asked to serve the communities of Oakmont and Verona in the best interest of our students and parents, while also keeping the success of the district in mind. How do you anticipate handling this responsibility?
I'm a collaborator, so I think sitting here with a group, this doesn't sit on one person's shoulders. So I'm a big believer, this has been my mantra for a while, so collaboration, being able to have thoughtful discussions, strategic discussions, as well, and sort of balancing the strategic versus tactical type, but having difficult discussions when need to, and sort of being able to voice a differing opinion to ultimately be able to think about the best result for the students in the school.
Thank you.
Welcome. Our decisions often have many variables in determining an outcome. How do you approach making multifaceted decisions?
I think you start with understanding. So it starts with research and sort of doing that type of diligence. I'm a big, again, that probably comes from my corporate life, my business life, just being able to do as much diligence and being able to understand either the decision or any sort of pre-information to be able to make the most educated decisions. So I'm a big studier about that, maybe even an over-analyzer. Trying not to boil the ocean, but still keep it relatively strategic. But a lot of that work, I think is important to be able to then have, and for me to be able to formulate an opinion, to be able to have that discussion that I mentioned earlier with Aaron.
Thank you.
Board membership is a large time commitment, as I'm sure you remember from those 4 or 5 months that you had. How would you approach balancing the meeting prep, committee duties, attending both study session and voting meetings, and elderhood, I'm gonna add?
Yep, a good question. Yeah, so I have a little taste of it, so sort of understand, and I'm gonna imagine that the workload is probably even more so than it was when I was on the board, a couple of years back. I'm super fortunate and blessed to not hold any type of full-time professional capacity. So I do a lot of advisory work, and while I'm able to juggle being mom sometimes when mom is doing what she needs to do, and then being dad sometimes when I need to do, and then being professional when I need to do it. But there isn't a sort of 9 to 5 or a 9 to 9 type of situation that's pulling me away and allows me to be able to, again, go back and do some of that due diligence and make sure that I'm fully prepared to anything that's on the board agenda.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you feel the board should know about you to fully consider your candidacy?
No, I mean, I think just to summarize it, right? I think I'm a collaborative person. I think my experience and the conversations here today felt good because they're strategic conversations and thinking about the future. I think that's one of my strong skill sets. And again, just the component of community and how important Oakmont and Riverview is to me and to my family.
Thank you.
Thanks. And I should also make note for all candidates as well, that we'll be discussing or doing a sort of straw poll for who will be asked to come back for next week for the voting meeting. So you could stay for the rest of it. That would be greatly appreciated. But if not, if you happen to come up, we can go.
People are texting me that it's not streaming anymore. Is it supposed to be?
No, it's true.
I didn't know if it was or wasn't, but people just keep asking.
We shut it off, we
Okay,
at the adjournment and then turned it back on.
it's not working.
Is it muted for us or?
Maybe it's.
Thanks.
Yeah.
This is different, the box cast that the people might be on the box cast, so.
Yeah, that's right. We
Do they need to go to a different link? Is that?
No, it should be on the box cast.
Yeah, people were
Yeah.
I'm saying it, I'm getting messages that it's garbled. Oh.
Garble.
Unless
Like someone that make fun of how I'm talking.
You.
That would be a really innocent explanation.
Good quick point, on these rubrics, there should be a total of 28. If my math is mapping,
There's an extra question in case they, ask some other things. So just,
wait, so it's,
actually, there was originally seven. There was originally seven. You could put in 20, whatever is best for you.
oh, we're
There's only
four again, but 7, 4 times 7 is 28.
Yes,
Okay,
there was originally 7 questions. There are only 6.
no, I'm saying there are 7, but the total should be 28.
And it says 24.
If you give someone a 4 on all, they would total 28.
Yeah, I think the reason, because the last one is like, do you have any questions for us? Wasn't an actual question. The last question.
I just want to confirm that we're all going off of all
Yeah.
7.
I think that's why
Yeah,
we did the
that's fine.
24 So because. don't give points for number 7. Yes, Right. yes. That's what
Then we're not.
that's what we were thinking, because sometimes you may have an answer, you might not. not
Okay, so we're not
consistent.
including 7. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
I was not a math major, never claimed to be.
Sorry.
We'll have
Check.
are we all good?
Yeah.
Okay.
The box dress.
Oh, yeah, it's the box crash.
Yeah.
I mean, if you-
Dan, is it okay? We good?
Yeah, we're just unplugging it, trying to reset it, think like.
Okay, we're good.
I mean, I have that recording as a backup, so even though if people can't see it live, they'll be able to go in and see. Once I post it tomorrow, they'll be able to see it after. That's why we always have that. So there's always a backup for
Perfect. Then we'll keep going then. So it'll take longer. For all of you. Next will be Laura Jacko.
Ian told me to stand up, or should I sit down so we're all the same?
Whatever you're comfortable.
Like,
Where do they hear me? I heard you guys were messing with audio.
They-
Through the, oh, hi thing, I'll talk loud.
Hi, Laura, thank you. I'll start. Just if you could tell us about yourself and give us your background.
Sure, I'm Laura Jacko. I got sick about 2 weeks ago and I've been coughing, so if I sound terrible, it's not always like this. I live in Verona, 437 North Ave. I've got a kiddo in the school district, he's in 3rd grade. And, so I'm a working mom. I have a full-time job, doing fundraising. I've been a fundraiser for, I think I've got about 14 years of experience doing fundraising under my belt. So I've worked with nonprofits a lot and I'm pretty involved in the community. I'm the president of the Shade Tree Commission over in Verona right now. So, I'm pretty involved with a lot of community activities. So keeps me off the streets, you know? Yeah, you gotta watch us over there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Please share what skill sets, special interests, and knowledge you bring to the Riverview School Board.
Sure. So, like I kind of mentioned, my skill sets, I think, is that I've worked in nonprofits for a really long time. And, so I have a pretty strong background in grant writing and in fundraising, in board management. I do executive work with nonprofits at this point, so I do a lot of work managing boards. The organization I currently work for is a $20 million org, so, used to raising and keeping an eye on large amounts of money. I used to work for the University of Pittsburgh, so again, a big staple in the community as well. Something I couldn't really figure out a good way to put on my little cover sheet was I'm a big nerd. So I graduated college with 2 degrees in 4 years and got honors in both. I speak 2 different languages, and so education is really, really important to me. I grew up very poor and under-resourced, and it was really only thanks to getting access to a good education that was able to bring me to where I am today. And so for me, I can really, I feel really strongly about, our excellent education system and giving kids all the opportunities they need through education.
What motivated you to apply for this position? Steve?
Sure. So, probably a little bit of what I just said. I do really care about this a lot. I am a Verona mom and I know that sometimes since Oakmont's a little bit bigger, sometimes it's harder to find representatives from Verona. And so when I saw that there was this opening, I thought it might be a good opportunity to kind of maybe try to get a little more representation there, from some community members who have, who have a little bit of a stake in it, because I do have a kid in the school district. And I really love our teachers. I think that we in Pittsburgh can be so very self-deprecating and sometimes don't recognize what it is that we have. And I have found that every single teacher that I've encountered has just been the best. I think that my kid, I'm constantly in awe of what it is that he learns. I really don't think that I learned so much when I was his age. And I really want to keep that going. Like, I think we have something incredibly precious. And if there's anything I can do to help that and bring my skills to that, I would love to do that. So that's kind of what got my button here too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
As a board member, we are asked to serve the communities of Oakmont and Verona in the best interest of our students and parents while keeping the success of the district in mind. How do you anticipate handling the responsibility?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big question because, and we only have 3 minutes. I would just chat about it forever, but I am very, it's like a kind of a type A person. I'm very organized. And I do try to, take, many points of view into account when I'm making decisions. As a parent, of course, it personally affects me, but, I of course want to do what's best for the kids. I personally feel like our kids just don't get enough credit for all the things that they do. And I really want to make sure that they're really well resourced to live to their best potential. I think we have a lot going on here. Maybe we could even do more, who can say? And I didn't hear in that question, but I do think it's really important to resource the teachers as well. So that's something that I really keep in mind. I know those can be 3 different opposing things, but I've learned, I think maybe in the last decade of my life that sometimes many things can be true at once. And I've been learning how to, hold that, in my head when I'm thinking about things. Yeah.
You kind of touched on it a little bit, Laura. Decisions we make have a lot of variables involved, as you've seen, in determining our outcomes. How can you think about a time you had to make one of those multifaceted decisions? What type of approach do you make in those situations?
Yeah, but those sorts of decisions. Yeah, I deal with a lot of really delicate things in my line of work. A lot of times, since I deal with funders, and you're in a nonprofit, sometimes you might want to do things, but it might clash with the multitude of beliefs of the funders that you have. So I have had a lot of experience trying to, thread a lot of needles and make decisions that are really good for where I am and the cause that I'm in, but in a way that, can still make it sustainable and not upset other people when you're doing it. So I've had to be a part of a lot of hard decisions. But I think to me, like keeping your core values in mind is really important. And you always have to do what's best for your organization. And I think when people agree with you that what you're doing is really important, you can all at least start from that point of view and, move forward and talk about why you made that decision.
Thank you very much.
Board membership is a large time commitment. And how would you approach balancing meeting preparation, committees, delegate duties, and attendance at both the study session and voting meetings?
Yeah, so I've managed to bend the space-time continuum really well as a working parent. And this is not something I'm unfamiliar with. I've in the past few years helped start the community garden over in Verona, been on the Shade Tree Commission. I've served on the board of a school before, the French language school in Pittsburgh. I have served on the board of the Sierra Club Executive Committee. I'm just really, really organized, and I'm a really fast worker. And probably, as you can see from my background, I'm a really fast reader too, because I was, the English major. This is probably the most I've ever got to talk about my majors in the last decade, so I'm really happy about that. But I read very, very quickly. I work very, very quickly. And my mind is just really great at keeping track of a lot of threads at once. So that's served me well to do a lot of important projects.
Thank you.
Is there
Thank you.
anything else you'd like to share for us to really consider you? Anything else?
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I'm probably forgetting some of the other things that I've done, but yeah, I really care about the kids. I care about parents. I care about teachers. And I care about the trees. So, you know, you might hear me asking you if you want trees in your yard someday, no matter how we come across each other. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, Bianca Labrador.
Hello, I am also going to say, I'd be feeling more obligation. So I'm just trying to spread. Okay, I'm Bianca Labrador. I live at 708 Delaware Avenue.
Perfect. Welcome, Bianca. Can you tell us about yourself and your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a rainbow of a professional background. I'm a mom of 3 kids. I substitute in the district. Which I understand would mean that I may have to recuse myself from certain things during school board meetings. And I also do freelance writing and I have a travel agency. And I have worked I put this in my paper, I've worked at an Emmy Award winning production company, which means that I worked with people who, when they get a golden guy that tells them that they're good at what they do, you have to learn how to say, yes, you are. You are so good at what you do. However, I think we should also look into this. So it's very much figuring out how to be diplomatic while also trying to move the, not agenda, I don't want to say agenda, because I feel like that's a term maybe we want to avoid, but yeah, move it forward.
Please share what your skill sets are, or special interests, and knowledge that you would bring to the school board.
Okay, great. I think I just briefly touched on that. I also am I take the minutes for the Oakmont Borough Council. That's one of my clients. And so I've gotten to see the Borough Council side of things, because also when you're a minute taker, you don't talk, you just have to listen, right? And so I have to listen to what Borough Council has to say about different things. For example, the lights on the field. I know that's been a big topic, but I've got to hear a lot about not saying anything about. And then I also understand the perspective of parents, as I have 3 children in the district. And I also get to see what it's like inside the schools since I'm a substitute teacher. And so I feel like those give me a unique viewpoint. I also worked in the nonprofit sector for here as an executive director for a nonprofit organization. And then in Washington State, I was an area administrator. And so I've worked with budgets, I've worked with board members, and I know sometimes you have to make hard decisions to be able to not go into the red.
Yeah.
What motivated you to apply for this position on the Riverview School?
Well, having 3 kids in the district was definitely one of them. I want to be active with my kids with what they do. And I want to make sure that our school district does well. Not to say you guys aren't doing that. I just want to be part of it. Put it that way. And I think that I have to apologize right now. I was trying to get through without saying this. My ibuprofen wore off from, I had surgery. And so if I seem scattered, that's what, obviously this was like, fixed.
You're okay.
Okay. I'm like, if I seem like I'm not forming my sentences well. There's a reason why, and I promise it's legit.
Well, I don't know that I have the milligram dosage, but I have Tylenol, Advil, and Excedrin.
I will take you up on that, Maria. Thank you.
And Tom, Dramamine.
I know that works out for you. There you go. Thank you so much. Okay, all right. Where were we? I'm so sorry.
What motivates you to apply for?
Oh, I have water. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. And I'm so sorry.
No.
I just wanted to be a part of helping our kids do well in the school and helping the school district do well. I mean, seeing what the teachers do, we do have really good teachers within the district. And seeing how they help the kids around the clock. I mean, I can't believe sometimes what times I see teachers emailing their kids back because I'm like, I'm impressed by that. So I'm like, it is Sunday at 7 o'clock. Why, first of all, why did you wait till 7 o'clock to email your teacher? But I'm impressed with the teachers are with what they do. And I want to help foster that.
As board members, we're asked to serve on the committees, serve the communities of Oakmont and Verona in the best interest of our students and parents, while also keeping the success of the district in mind. How do you anticipate handling this responsibility?
Well, it's interesting because of being involved with Borough Council, I've already, even though I'd like to point out, I am not on Borough Council. That is not my position. However, people see that I do things with Borough Council. They think that that means that I have any sway with Borough Council, right? And so I've had people coming up to me in the community throughout this time, talking to me about the issues. And so I have that experience, but it'd also be nice to have that experience, but actually be able to do something about it, right? And so, I think it's important to understand that we're going to have community members coming up to us and talking to us while we're at like the street fair. Or we're just out walking the dog. Because I know I'm also guilty of doing that to some of you. Talking about school board stuff when you're not on the clock, basically. But I guess as a school board member, it's almost like you are constantly on the clock because you're not getting away from the community, are you? You're always going to be here and people are always going to want to talk to you about what's happening. And you just have to accept that that's it. You don't get into it thinking I'm going to be a hermit for my tenure on school board. And so I'll have an open mind. And also I like talking to people and I like hearing their opinions because I think that's how we grow. Well, we may think I'm staunch in this belief, but then when somebody tells you their reasoning for what they're doing, it opens up your mind and you might see a perspective that you may not have seen before.
Thank you.
All right, Bianca, our decisions often have many variables to determine an outcome. How do you approach making multifaceted decisions?
Once again, I think it's important to approach everything from multiple directions, not just your opinion, but look at how it would affect the community at large. Look at how it would affect the school district, not just our teachers, but the administration itself or the extracurriculars that our children have. And so, again, I'll go back to the lightings, right? The lights on the field. Some people think, oh, it's just for security in the evenings, right? Well, it also allows the students to be able to play night games, or it allows there to be lights. So when it gets in the evening during the winter time, you have that extra security when kids are leaving, like homecoming, they'll be able to see. But then you also have to take into consideration people that may be upset about lights being in the field because they live across the street. So you have to go through and consider all parts of it and figure out which one is best for the greater good for the community at large.
Board membership's a large time commitment. How do you approach balancing meeting preparation, committee and delegate duties and attendance in both study session and voting meetings?
I have gotten really good at time management. During the pandemic, I was back in school, finishing up my BA. and I have a BA in art history and minor in communications. And the art history one was a lot of writing and a lot of reading. You don't go into that because you hate to read and write. You better like it. During that time, we also had 3 kids under 6 and under. And I was also working full time. And so I figured out how to do my time blocking and figured out how to make it so I'm not going to say I can do it all, but I figured out you know what you need to have done when, and I like block scheduling. So,
It's me. The last one is there anything else that you feel that the board needs to know about you to fully consider your candidacy for?
I think I touched on it being a substitute teacher. We're contracted with the district. I'm not an employee of the district, but I am contracted. So there are certain things that I would have to recuse myself from, and I understand that. But I definitely feel like I could be an asset to the school board. However, I also want to say you have a great slate of candidates in front of you this evening. So I also understand that. I see Laura looking at you guys. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, thanks. And I'll bring you back to.
Yeah.
Um,
Anything from the little. Yeah, they're all like me.
Right, so Jeremiah Lyons will be our next one. You guys ready?
I'm good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, welcome. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and background?
Yep, so I'm Jeremiah Lyons. I live at 662 4th Street in Oakmont. I'm a 2016 Riverview grad, a 2020 Duquesne grad, and a 2024 Point Park grad. I went to Duquesne for multimedia, and then I just got my MBA from Point Park. Right now, I work for Rivers Casino in marketing, and then my fun job, which is directly from Riverview. I was told the only reason I got this job was because I was on Riverview's track team. We knew how good it was. I'm a Pittsburgh pierogi, so I run the pierogi. Back up higher paired as well. So I'll bring a little bit of color to the board. Jalapeno Hannah. Maybe see a video of Mr. Lindemann checking me into the pool one time. That's something that definitely happened.
How this works out, you might be getting a call, make an appearance.
Can you please share what skill sets, special interests, and knowledge you bring to Riverview?
So I think my MBA is really what gave me the confidence to come up and apply for this. I now have pretty good knowledge of budgeting. I have a great knowledge of business. On day-to-day at Rivers Casino, I'm managing multi-million-dollar budgets. Granted, it's advertising a little bit different, but again, I mean, we're always trying to save money in any way we can. On top of that, I think being a graduate of Riverview is super important to this too. I think knowing a lot of teachers who are still here, some of them who are getting older now, I think I would be an asset whenever it comes time to replacing them and sort of understanding what their role was, especially when I was here. That's it.
What motivated you to apply for the position?
So my grandmother has been talking just relentlessly lately about when she was on the school board for Pittsburgh Public Schools. And honestly, since I was at Riverview, I always thought, someday I'm going to be on the school board. I mean, a service to Riverview is probably the most important thing to me. When I was here in high school, I was sort of known as the person who was always here after hours. I spent the whole summer rewiring, like up in the rafters with Mr. Turfs, all the TVs so that people could get Raider Vision. I was up at the tech crew booth during Easter one year because we were trying to get ready for the musicals. And I've just always been extremely dedicated to Riverview. And I think really that's still carried on to this day. That's why I want to continue to carry on my dedication to Riverview.
Thank you.
As board members, we are asked to serve the communities of Oakmont and Verona in the best interests of our students and parents, while also keeping the success of the district in mind. How do you anticipate handling that responsibility?
So obviously the district's success is, going to directly affect the success of the students and the parents. So I guess really balancing opinions versus facts, and really trying to figure out, where the fine line is between the two. Because I mean, there's always going to be opinions. There's some that I haven't thought of. There's going to be some that maybe others haven't thought of that I can provide. And then balancing that too against, the facts of the matter, which are, what is our budget? What are we able to do? I think really analyzing that and having a deep understanding of both sides of that is going to be extremely important.
Our decisions often have many variables in determining the outcome. How do you approach making multifaceted decisions?
So I think really listening is going to be the biggest part of that. Listening, researching. I spend a lot of time, especially in marketing, sort of trying to understand, every different subsection of a human being almost, you really have to understand people. You have to understand, what needs to be done, what message needs to get out there, and how exactly, you're gonna push that message. And I think it's, it's almost similar in this way. You got to make sure that you're understanding everybody's opinions, you're understanding what's going on in the world, and you're understanding, again, like the fiscal side of that and the budgeting and everything that goes, through all that.
Thank you.
Board membership is a large time commitment. How would you approach balancing meeting preparation, committee and delegate duties, and attendance to both study and voting meetings?
So this question is probably one I'm most confident in, because time management is probably my superpower. When I was at Point Park getting my MBA, I was working 3 jobs. My full-time casino job, I worked at the sandwich shop on the weekends, and then the pierogi, which was, and then on top of that, I was going to class full-time, and I actually finished 9 months earlier than the program was supposed to finish. So in that entire time, I was never bogged down. I was still doing well at work. I actually got a promotion at the casino during all of that. So again, time management has never been a worry for me. I think right now I'm actually in a unique advantage to where I don't have a ton going on, which is another reason that I did want to apply now. Because now I can really put most of my effort towards this.
Anything else you feel would be important for us to know, as we fully consider candidacy?
I just think my dedication to Riverview is probably the most important thing. Again, I love this school. I love the teachers. I love everything I was able to get out of it. I was a special ed student when I was here. And, I started in the lower end classes, and by the time I got to my senior year, I was in the honors classes. So I think that shows a lot about what, Riverview is able to provide. And I just want to make sure that everybody's getting the same opportunities that I got.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just so everyone knows, I'm not on my phone. I'm keeping
Is there
time.
is there a timekeeper? Yeah.
I'm listening very carefully. So, timekeeper.
Our next interview will be with Melissa McFadden.
I want to sit down because I get nervous when it's doing.
Everyone ready for these chicken bends? Well, to start, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
All right, so we moved to Oakmont about 14 years ago when we were pregnant for our first daughter. I have 2 daughters in the district, both in 6th and 8th grade. Me and my husband are, I think, heavily involved in various activities. We're coaching, we're doing stuff with the musical, we're doing stuff with orchestra, we're helping with sports. And then I also work as a nurse practitioner. I've been involved in healthcare for 20-something years. My current role is palliative care nurse practitioner. And prior to that, I did about 15 years of critical care. So, running into the fire.
Can you please share what skill sets or special interests and knowledge you bring to us?
I think one of my most translatable skill set would be my experience in healthcare. I understand what it is to work with finite resources. I understand that everybody wants the MRI, everyone wants expensive medicines. But it's just not feasibly possible. A lot of times difficult decisions have to be made to stay in budgets. I've also worked on many quality improvement initiatives through the hospital to make sure that we're making the most of with what we have and that we're eliminating waste when necessary. Oh, shoot, I was gonna say something, what other skill sets? Another thing is it's just, I'm part of the community. To me, public schools are a community. And that right now, my living room's full of musical costumes. In another week, I'm gonna have Girl Scout cookies from top to bottom in my basement. I understand what it's like to be part of this community and know that part of a successful public school is the community that it serves.
What motivated you to apply for this position on the Riverview School Board?
I think that first and foremost, my main motivation is my two daughters. I have a 6th grader and an 8th grader. They're both, I'm very fortunate. They're both they're pretty successful kids. They're constantly competing in different activities, different music events. And I don't believe any of this would be possible without Riverview. I think Riverview has given them an incredible foundation to make them competitive. Betsy just missed qualifying for equations by like 2 points in the national, and next year she's got it. Another main motivation I have is, and I'll be honest with you, is fiscal responsibility. I don't know about you, but every time when budget season comes, your blood pressure rises, not to mention when you get your escrow analysis every year and you determine if your mortgage payment's gonna go up. And, and when that happens, you do to sit and spend inventory to make sure that your money is being well spent at that point in time.
As board members, we're asked to serve the communities of Oakmont, Verona in the best interest of our students' parents, while also keeping the success of the district in mind. How do you anticipate handling this responsibility?
I think a lot of it is, one, listening to the people that I serve, which would be listening to our stakeholders, which are our students, our teachers, our community. You oftentimes gotta do some research to see what is the most evidence-based goal that you want to accomplish, and and a lot of it's cost benefit analysis as well.
Number 5, our decisions often have many variables determining outcome. How do you approach making multifaceted decisions?
Well, my job is multifaceted decisions. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with palliative care. We do 2 things, and one of them is help guide patients in difficult decision-making. I oftentimes have to help people with the most finite of decisions, which is approaching their death and end of life. You will oftentimes collaborate with consultants to make sure that, their treatments align with their values and align with their goals, and that we're doing our best to serve the patient and in their best interest with care that is important to them. And, you gotta approach difficult conversations head on. I feel like I'm often called to talk to people in situations that no one else wants to do it, but it's a delicate, thoughtful process to get from point A to point B. A lot of training and vital talk and pally talk to help guide with communication.
Board membership is a large time commitment. How would you approach balancing the meeting preparation, committee and delegate duties, and attendance at both study and voting meetings?
I think luckily I have incredible support staff with me. I have my husband and children. They're very supportive of my decision to do this and very motivating me to want to do this. I know that whenever I'm not available at home, I have a wonderful husband and understanding children that can help with that.
I also know, and I feel like, especially as a working parent, you learn how to fill all the time that you need. You create the time when you need to create the time. Especially if it's something that you're motivated to do, and this is something I'm very motivated to do.
Yeah. Is there anything else you feel the board needs to know about you to fully consider your candidacy for this appointment?
I think, like I was started to allude to it a little bit earlier. I have extensive training in communication, especially in difficult and sensitive topics through like Bible Talk and Poly Talk. I also, I've had some experience in managing groups of healthcare providers and serve on a lot of different project committees at my job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next interview will be with Miss Laura Stagliano.
No.
I don't even know what was happening there. I'm so sorry. Phonetics are hard and they shouldn't be.
I'm Laura Stellacino. I live at 731 3rd Street in Oakland.
Laura, could you tell us a bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, so I've worked in the education space kind of my whole career. I started by doing Teach for America and gained very, very deep appreciation and respect for teachers, realizing that it was not what I was cut out for, but it was like the system that I cared so deeply about that I just wanted to work in it my whole career. So from there, I've done my master's degree in special education. I've done my PhD in learning sciences and policy at the University of Pittsburgh, and have just been really, really passionate about understanding like what kind of system it is that shapes a high quality education for all kids. And now I have two kids of my own, kindergartner and a third grader at 10th Street, and just like seeing them go through the school experience and navigate learning is just opening my eyes to what makes a quality education all over again. So learning it new through their eyes.
What's me? Sorry. Please share what skills, special skill sets, special interests, and knowledge you bring to the board.
Yeah, so my professional work is mostly in research. I've been a researcher at different education policy think tank, nonprofits in the special education, disability rights space. And so I've just used research in a lot of different ways, but really always the emphasis is like practical improvement. So I bring a skill set of analyzing data, looking for patterns, but with that comes a qualitative data as well. So just talking to people. And in the education space, I've done a lot of talking and learning from teachers and from people at all levels of the school system, parents, students. In my current work, I get to work with a young adult leadership council who are young adults with learning disabilities and hear about their experiences in the school system and how they would want to change it. And also a leadership council of parents. So I think that those experiences, approaching that from a research perspective, where we focus on policy on a national level, just gives me the tools to think about just how to learn from different people who are really important to the Riverview community.
So I appreciate that you shared about your kids being in K and third, and that obviously motivating you to apply, but what else, any other things that motivated you to apply?
Yeah, I think what I have seen in my work studying special education and understanding the education system has my expectations when my kids first started to have different learning and behavioral challenges and needs, and how that process went for them at Riverview just left me so heartened and optimistic about what the education system could be, and just seeing like all the things that can work really well whenever teachers have what they need to succeed. It made me feel like some things are working really well, and I want to get more involved and think about how I can be a part of that progress in the community. And I think just when we moved here, the community aspect, we were right on the field where the famous light will go, and just being so close, like so cued into what's happening, seeing the community, hearing the band practice. Those are all things that make it so appealing to us. So I think that it's another way that I can just really get involved and give back.
As board members, we're asked to serve the communities of Oakmont and Verona in the best interests of our students and parents, while also keeping the success of the district in mind. How do you anticipate handling this responsibility?
I think one thing that's really important for me is to understand the background and the history of things. So it would be really important to me to understand just like historical information about school finances and performance in both Oakmont and Verona, and to take that into consideration. And then I'm really something that I do all the time in my work is understanding evidence-based practices and kind of doing like research and evidence reviews and understanding what the evidence supports generally. And then I think just understanding local and community needs and talking to people who are having these lived experiences. So I kind of try to balance the like historical with the evidence and the data, but then just locally, once I have all that information, I would feel confident to be able to make a recommendation.
Our decisions often have many variables in determining an outcome. How do you approach making multifaceted decisions?
Yeah, I think it's similar to the approach that I just said. Is I just really am someone who needs to take in information from all different kinds of sources, all sides, and just gain a deep understanding of the situation, the pros and cons, the costs, the benefits, and ultimately just make a decision with the students. Ultimately, the student impact is, the number one priority right at the center.
Board membership is a large time commitment. How would you approach balancing the meeting preparation, committee and delegate duties, and attendance at both study session and voting meetings?
I would put it on my Google Calendar, and once I do that, then I show up and I'm there for the time commitment. So I would do that. But I would also, I think that one thing I've learned about myself is that I love to read and dig into information. It's something that I find really energizing in my spare time. So I think that that would be something that I would, would just be a natural fit for me. But then other than that, I would certainly just block it off on my calendar so that I can make sure that the time is dedicated to this.
Okay, last question. Is there anything else you feel the board needs to know about you to fully consider your candidacy for the appointment?
Yeah, some other skills that I think I bring that would be important to a board is staying solutions oriented in a group whenever it comes to just how the board collaborates. I've been told in different work settings and teams that I'm on that I am an optimist, and I think that that's a strength that is important to bring. It's just kind of staying focused on the solutions, the possibilities, what can be. And I would look forward to doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next interview candidate is Sylvia Sullivan.
Hi, I'm Sylvia Sullivan. I think most of you know me already. I live at 139 Oak Meadow Drive.
Sylvia, tell us about yourself and your background.
So I am obviously a community member, a homeowner here at Oakmont. And I have two kids in the school district, one in sixth grade and one in seventh grade. And then I've also been a registered nurse for 20 years-ish. So I have an extensive background in healthcare management and leadership. But I started out as a nurse working on the floors and managing the high pressure situations. And then I also help volunteer with my kids' baseball teams and fundraising for them for their trips and things like that as well. I manage all the money and organization of those things as well. So I'm very involved in their baseball right now.
Can you share some skill sets, special interests, and knowledge you would bring to the board?
Yeah, so like I said, I've been a nurse for 20 years. I've been a project manager and most recently a clinical director. So I've worked with, you know, a lot of large groups of people. I have a good understanding of working with different diversities and different things like that. And I'm also good in high pressure situations. Have good communication skills. And I think that would serve the board well. I'm also very involved in the schools. I think, you know, you guys probably know, I served as the vice president of the PTO for 2 years at the elementary school. And currently I'm the chair of like 4 or 5 committees on both the elementary school and the junior senior high. I was one of the parents who brought the elementary school science fair to the elementary schools, and this is our 3rd year doing that. So I'm really excited about that. I attend the board meetings almost all the time. I think most of you see me here. I try to come unless I'm like sick and then I listen along. And I think I think it's important to have community representation at the board meetings and have people here to support you guys, because you're doing a lot. So I do volunteer a lot here. So I think that's my skill set as well.
Thank you.
What motivated you to apply for this position on the Riverview?
So I really believe that the school district serves the students and the students are the future of our community. So it all circles back to our community. So I believe that it's really important to be a part of the solution and not the problem. And I always, whenever I write Dr. English an email, I always come with a suggestion of how to resolve that situation or whatever issue that is. I don't just come with like, I don't like this or this is the problem. So I just really wanted to help all of you who have dedicated your time to help make our community and our school district better. As you know, I helped kind of connect the district with the Arconic Foundation, which we were able to apply for a grant, which we got, and we have a science and technology grant for, I think, $30,000 that I helped. And then I'm trying to keep fostering that relationship with that company by inviting some scientists from that company to come and judge our science fair. So I also would like to keep fostering relationships like that with the school district, because I really believe that science and technology is the future with AI and things like that. And with partnering with community companies like that, we may be able to offer more opportunities for the students. So that was a lot of my motivation.
Okay, the Verona Oakmont question.
Okay.
So as board members, we're asked to serve the communities of Verona and Oakmont in the best interest of our students and parents while keeping the success of the district in mind. How do you anticipate handling this responsibility?
Yeah, so I mean, I just think you have to keep a focus on the community and what is best for the school district. I think the school district directly relates to how great the community is. And the reason that our community is so great is because we have a great school district. So keeping that focus in mind, I think that it will always make the best decisions for the school district, which will in turn, help the communities. I'm also really involved in the community. I talk to people. I think listening is really important and being open to hearing everybody's opinions. So that you can make sure that you're making the right decision for everyone.
Our decisions often have many variables in determining an outcome. How do you approach making multifaceted decisions?
So I really believe that active listening is very important in communication. And so being open and listening to all of the information before making a decision is important. Being a nurse, being under high pressure situations, having to make decisions quickly, you need to have background knowledge. So I think doing the research ahead of time, making sure that you have all of the information before you make a decision really helps to make the right decision.
Board membership is a large time commitment. How would you approach balancing the meeting preparation, committee and delegate duties, and attendance at study sessions and voting meetings?
So I believe everything happens for a reason. Recently I resigned from my position because my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And it was it was the end of last year. And I just wanted to be able to spend some time with him and help him navigate the healthcare system. So I chose to resign for that reason. And then also my son had some medical issues that we were navigating. So I chose to do that, and I just figured I would, find something else in the future. But it's also afforded me the ability to then apply for this position when it came available, because I do have that time now. I am really good at time management. I've worked full time and had 2 kids and did baseball and volunteered at the schools. So I truly believe I will be able to manage those responsibilities, even if I do take on other.
Is there anything else you feel the board needs to know about you to fully consider your candidacy for appointment?
So a couple things I want to say is I do realize that when you're on a board, there can sometimes be differing opinions. And people may vote differently. And I think that that's really important. And that's the reason that we have a board and have different opinions, and that represents the community. So I think if we all just approach that with humility and transparency, that we will be successful as a board in making those decisions. And so I just want you to know that I do realize that that is part of being on a school board. I also just want to say, I think you all know I'm really dedicated to the schools. I am here all the time. I'm at the board meetings. I do think I have a good understanding of what the future of this school district is and what the goals of the board have been in the past and moving forward. So I do think that would be a great addition to your school board. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Last but certainly not least, Ms. Polly Weaver.
Oh, yeah, I knew that too. I forgot already. All right, tell us about yourself and your work. Hi, nice to meet you all. My name is Holly. I joined with Jennifer. She's one of my neighbors, and I actually had a great experience of being next door to Arlene Loeffler, who I know has served here for many years. She's a good friend of mine. So I would dedicate my pursuit of this position in her honor. But my background is mostly in education and business, as well as design. I owned a fashion company in San Francisco before I moved back to Pittsburgh. I had 3 brick and mortar stores, as well as an e-commerce site selling fashion and housewares. When I got back here, I started looking at different spaces in Oakmont and around Pittsburgh to open my store, and decided to wait on that and just did some work for local churches and other organizations, helping them with their design projects. So I'm still doing that now. as well as pursuing a Juris Doctor in corporate and tax law. That's hopefully going to be this fall. Right now, I'm a Master of Divinity student at the Pittsburgh Theological Seminary, and I earned my Master in Theology in 2025. I have an undergraduate degree from the University of Florida in Global Business Administration, and I've been an entrepreneur ever since I graduated. That's what I've learned.
Thank you. Please share what skill sets, special interests, knowledge you bring to Riverview School Board.
I think in terms of skill set, running a business, really a lot about time management, hiring people, understanding what makes teams work. Even in technology, I was the director of business development and sales for McKesson in their robotics division, and traveled a lot with that. I think being multicultural and kind of versed in traveling to different places does help as well. Speaking different languages, and just recently my research in the field of theology, and I worked at the Kelso Museum of Near Eastern Archaeology and got to handle like archive records. And I'm right now researching for a faculty member who's writing books about abolitionist movements. So like different forerunners of abolishing slavery in the 1830s. So just understanding a lot about this nation and where we're headed now versus where we came from. And I think bringing a lot of that to my passion for Oakmont. Just moving back here, it was a bit of a shock coming from like Paris and San Francisco and New York. I felt like it was just whitewashed and like there was no diversity here. This was 15 years ago. And I really want for Oakmont what I've seen in other cities, like more diversity, more inclusion, less of like a fixed mindset, and just more openness, I think, to the thoughts and desires of others, particularly with the more recent events in the country with protests and immigration, especially since George Floyd and everything in 2020. There's just been so many like really divisive issues. And I think Oakmont is a community that wants this. We want more inclusion and diversity. So my research last year for my thesis, for my master's in theology, was based on women's rights and advancing the rights of women and girls globally who have suffered from intimate partner violence. And I know there are definitely, because the statistics show that a lot of women in our community here in Oakmont and Pittsburgh do suffer from domestic violence and have survived this, as well as others. You know, it's not just limited to women. So I'm hoping that I can bring some of those skills and some of the knowledge that I've gained from the research that I've done recently.
Can you talk about what motivated you to apply the position in the board?
Like I said, I called her Miss Arlene, but she would invite me over and we'd have wine, talk, and she just loved the school board. And so she like shared a lot about what you guys do and would break out her old minutes and show me stuff. So she always had me like interested in it. And then on the other side of Miss Arlene is Jennifer, and just knowing that like you did it. Her son is also a soccer player with Steel City, like my son is. He's in 8th grade here, my daughter's in 6th grade. And I think I am motivated by my kids. I also have nieces and nephews and other cousins who have kids in Oakmont, as well as my uncle and like longtime family friends, the Sorayas from the bakery. And I feel like just knowing what a passionate like group of people live here and want the best for Oakmont. My parents live on 10th Street like I do. Just seeing them like care about the issues that affect us here makes me want to have like a transformational effect on the community in whatever way I can.
As board members, we are asked to serve the communities of both Oakmont and Verona in the best interest of our students and parents, and while also keeping the success of the district in mind. How do you anticipate handling this responsibility?
I think Oakmont and Verona being combined in the junior senior high is really good. And I think keeping our focus on that and that everybody belongs and making sure every student feels really well loved and supported. I would like to see more diversity with like the mental health resources that are available to students. So maybe both male and female guidance counselors for 10th Street and here in Bernard. Like was mentioned earlier in the study session, like maybe some extra resources. This might have been last 2 weeks ago. I watched the YouTube video where someone maybe was like not there when they were needed at Bernard because they were at 10th Street for guidance counselor. So things like that, I think they're just simple decisions that could be made to help both communities stay safe. I think the student population really wants like more diversity in their opportunities, maybe more field trips and things like that to see like Pittsburgh more, see the broader community get out of the bubble a little bit more. But yeah, I think also balancing what Mr. Parents and the others on the floor see as the future. You guys are all very experienced and know like what the goals are and what they need to be. Paying attention to that and also local leaders, what they see. So just understanding what each stakeholder wants and needs and being determined to be like a creative problem solver. So bringing just some kind energy to, I think, what can be political, but doesn't necessarily need to be.
It's me, right?
Yeah.
Our decisions often have many variables. Am I on the right one?
Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah,
it's
you're
getting
number
so
five.
late. We have many variables in determining an outcome. How do you approach making multifaceted decisions? Obviously, you've already touched on this with so many of. I have never seen a resume this long and you've done so many things. I'm just very impressed. But can you please talk to that about how you make multifaceted decisions? Clearly you do in all your positions.
Priorities right now, I'm the president of the Women's Caucus at the Pittsburgh Seminary. So I look at like other student association groups and what they're doing, as well as like what my caucus needs. I just do as much research and planning as possible, listening, like everybody else here said, like you really have to pay attention and approach every decision with humility and a sense of like wait for what the outcomes are gonna be. So, yeah, I think research is a key.
Board membership is a large time commitment. How would you approach balancing the meeting preparation, committee, and delegate duties and attendance at both study sessions and voting meetings?
I think like a lot of the other people said, just like putting it on my calendar, then it's done. I'm gonna be there. And unless that, there's something like a huge snowstorm, then everyone has to dial in remotely, but I would still be there. I just think a sense of personal responsibility and accountability to others is important. So maybe taking the weekends to prepare for the study sessions and then making sure Mondays I prepared as well and was here.
Is there anything else you'd like to let us know about? To fully consider your candidacy.
Just thank you for the opportunity. When I got the email this past week, I just thought like I could possibly help in some way. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is the more hard part of everything, because, we can only take on one next week. So the idea is for us as board members now to kind of give feedback on, you know, any of the candidates that really stood out to you, and or just share thoughts of information that stood out to you. And then if we think we can, I would ask us to sort of go around, and pick our top three. But I would like us to have the time for discussion too before doing that, if you guys would like. So anyone may start.
Still counting, just for clarities for everyone.
Fine.
Yeah, my top three based on, just answers, was number 8, Sylvia Sullivan, 6, Melissa McFadden, and number 2, Kareem. Ahmed.
And you don't have to feel obliged to give your tops yet, but look, he's like streamlined here.
I added it up as I went.
You can tell he grades tests. Yeah.
Right.
Not that many tickets.
One of our instructors.
Not that many.
We can do the math real fast. I taught this math, so it's like a totally different mind in my brain.
I will say I appreciate another graduate stepping forward to come up, especially a younger graduate, right? I myself came on this board as a younger graduate, but I think it lends a sort of I don't know, different perspective than any of the other board members can really offer, having been in this district and also we're in a district where 80% of your teachers are still in the district, right? So while things can change a lot, more often than not, those people are still those people. And just having that kind of background, that historical context is very invaluable, to say the least. I also appreciate, Sullivan's comments of like coming to board meetings, and while that's not, necessary by any means, it was actually one of the questions that, myself and Ms. Schutz actually thought about asking for tonight's interview, but I think, we didn't need to ask it necessarily because we know that regardless of what your participation is at our meetings, that you're still doing a lot to help this community, very different and stuff. So we definitely understand that, but I think it's nice to see community members regardless showing up and listening and providing perspective when we need it, or just a friendly face. Because sometimes being out there, it's a little awkward. And I also just appreciate that, everyone's kind of different backgrounds and perspectives on, like you all come from a different perspective wherein it's either employment or how many children you have in the district, how long you've been in the district, what you can provide to the board. But I just think that I don't know that we can go wrong necessarily in the candidates that we do pick, based off of what everyone has said. I know if we could take on another 9, I guess, that would be nice too. Anyone else's comments generally?
I'm a non-voting board member, okay? But I just want to thank everybody. It's really talented group of people, really impressive. Everybody has really amazing backgrounds, and I think we can't go wrong with however the board chooses. Can't go wrong. I really appreciate the engagement that you all have and your willingness to come in and do some of this work and ultimately support the kids. So I'm greatly appreciative of everybody that spoke. It was really interesting tonight.
Thank you for all stepping up. This means a lot.
Okay, I can give some info here. I really liked Lauren Jacob, the deep grant writing and fundraising experience. I feel like that would be an excellent addition to help boost and improve our district's finances, just to have that additional knowledge on the board. Bianca Labrador. Just like that experience being inside the school, I feel like you sort of see like, you know, the underbelly of the things that the schools need, and then also having that experience on the borough, like being at the borough meetings, you kind of know more of the pulse of the community as well. And then, Holly Weaver, like, I was just really impressed with like the deep knowledge. I also felt like your answers are really thoughtful, and I think like you will bring like a unique perspective to the board as well.
At this point, do we want to just go around and say our top three?
Does anybody else want to chime in with other
Yeah,
thoughts or?
I think, for me, I think Laura Stellitano brings an extreme wealth of knowledge that can be helpful, especially as we're looking at, things around special education and policy. She's got huge amounts of experience. I think, Kareem has been in the seat. He's seen how it works. He's gone through its emotions and the steps, and so he knows what's expected, and he knows what the ups and downs are. And then, you know, Sylvia is always good. The one thing I really appreciate about Sylvia, she always comes with a solution. She sees a problem, but she says, I'm gonna think it through, and this is what I think might be a good idea. I also agree. There are so many different, you all have amazing different things you can bring to the board, and someone who sat in your shoes a few years ago, keep coming back, and someday you'll get there. It just is a matter of, you know, thinking. You don't not come and sit in the seats. You keep coming and sit in the seats, whatever happens, whoever doesn't or does. It's important to stay engaged and keep a pulse on what's going on. I think that's the one thing I learned was just keep coming back and sitting and listening, so that, you know, but I think you all have I learned so much about people, so I think you're all incredible humans, so keep being good humans. So good. Are we going around the table or what?
we're just going.
Sylvia, I think she's earned it by attending all our meetings. If you want that much punishment, keep coming and just sit here. No, I really liked what you said about when I try to do the same thing. When I express a concern to a principal, teacher, superintendent, whoever, I try to say, this is what I'm happy about, and this could solve it. Like, not just blah, blah, blah. I'm mad that you did this. I like that you're very involved in the community, super dedicated to the schools, obviously. And then I really liked what you said about differing opinions with humility and transparency. I love that. Laura Jaco, I really like that. Let's face it, you're from Verona and we need more of that. Like, I know I like that. I like your fundraising work. I like that you're so positive. It really is. I need to like absorb that. You're very positive. We love our teachers. The type A could certainly help us stay organized, differing points of view. I liked all that you said. Melissa McFadden, I really like that you coach, do the musical, you're a nurse. So, I mean, you have a million skills. I like what you said about being fiscally responsible. Very motivated to be on the board, which is really nice to hear.
I'll go. I appreciated Kareem's experience on the board and what he can offer. Again, to echo what Aaron said about Ms. Deltano, her experience with special education and all the work that she's done, I think really resonated. And then also again, Sylvia, with how involved you are in the community and with the schools and coming to board meetings, like very much appreciated. So those would be my top three.
Jump in. Thank you all for applying. As this is a great way to jump in for half of a term, and kind of jump in and see how it goes. And hopefully you want to stay on longer. So thanks, and all of you have tremendous experience and skill sets and backgrounds. So again, we wish we could take more than one. My three that stood out, Kareem, he's been in this role, even though it was a short 4 or 5 months, I believe. It is helpful to kind of have seen how things work. I think also your background in business and operations and the corporate world, finance, et cetera. I think that could also bring, skill sets that would be useful. Melissa McFadden, I say somebody that's very much been active in the community, for a long time and also extremely, capable, in the medical world. And just willing to jump in with all the different activities and volunteers and all the things. And then, echo, Sylvia, I really liked, not only the attendance at meetings, which of course is helpful, because I do think that as somebody who's wanting to do this job, you kind of need to see it, firsthand and understand how things work and, just another, role that you play. And also appreciate, your PTO work both at the elementary and the high school level. I also was on that PTO board years ago before I came on this board. And I think that also helps to give you some eyes and ears into like how things work in that space, for the kids, and with the teachers and staff. So that's really helpful. And the work that you've done to start a science fair and try to get corporate entities to chime in, and help out has been tremendous too. So, really appreciate the way you've jumped in, and taking time out of the spare time that you might have, to add something else is admirable for sure. So, but thank you all. You all bring a lot of really great things to the table. So as Aaron said, please don't stop attending meetings and jumping in, because you never know when an opportunity might arise, where there's more seats available, or maybe you want to run, in a couple years. So thank you all.
Okay, I guess I'm last. So Laura Jacko, I think she brings a unique skill set from the nonprofit and fundraising space. Sylvia Sullivan, again, really appreciate your approach and some of the things that you said. I did, for everyone's knowledge, quote some of you in my notes, so you might be hearing it again in the future, and I'll be able to credit you. So thank you. And then Laura Stilatano, did I say that correctly? Okay.
It's a hard last name.
My phonics skills are working out. Talking about special ed, that's dear to my heart as a former special ed teacher. And an area, again, that I think we need to maintain focus on and ensure that we're being equitable. But I greatly appreciate everyone taking a risk and putting themselves out there. It requires that to, we're fortunate and lucky that we have so many great options. So I want to express my thanks. So.
Okay, so I'm the sold out.
Oh, see, that wasn't last.
Yeah. Sorry. I know you gave him a heart attack. He's over here like a lot of ties right now. So I think my top three would be Sylvia. Like I mentioned earlier, yes, you are always here. You also are always solution based. I appreciate that. I get told a lot. They bitch a lot. I try to come with a solution, so I appreciate it when someone else does as well. My second one would be Missy McFadden. Melissa, sorry. I think that your approach and also the piece of the palliative care and that kind of communication, that's just not something that you can realistically teach. And I think on this board, you can see that we disagree sometimes, but we then still have to work together, right? And having, someone who can also give that voice of reason sometimes, or, be that person to kind of help us communicate better even, I just think it's useful. And then my last one is Kareem. I think that you did a great job serving on the board in prior years and previously, and I think that we would be fortunate to have you again. But that's not to say that the rest of the candidates didn't do amazing. And I truly, 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 truly appreciate it for all of you taking the time to do this. I've done this before myself, and so yeah, a lot of the board members on this board can tell you that it's not easy to put yourself out there in any which way. So I just overly appreciate that. With that being said, our three candidates that we will be bringing back are Sylvia Sullivan, Melissa McFadden, and Kareem Good. So with that being said, we will see you next week. And we will go. And if nothing further, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Made by Ms. Siri. Thank you guys so much. Also on the.
I didn't explain why. I just, I don't know. Oh, I didn't.
Oh, that's true.
Trying to, I'm going to grab one. Thanks.
Like, you know, like, it's like. You gotta see this stuff, you know what I mean?
I don't do that. That's a day. Yeah, I'd rather you take it. That's about. All right.
Ready?
Yeah, that's it.
Are you ready?
Well, you're hoping to no, we're just going to be but the reason that I wanted to do that.
I feel like. Tell me what you think.
I'm gonna narrow it down. Oh, yes. No, no, Yeah, like, more like, like, oh, balance. Say that it's not belong.
I mean, I'm like.
And so that's like why, like, that's that.